pretty excited when this game started to be advertised. I was so invested in its story and supernatural elements, as well as its ability to hold an emotional weight with characters. This, of course, is Beyond Two Souls, made by Quantic Dream, who also made Heavy Rain. So yeah, I will be making a few comparisons. When I saw the E3 presentation as well as the Homeless chapter, I was instantly sold. The performances were believable, the action was intense where it needed to be, and the really emotional scenes from the one scene really hit hard. The characters were all identifiable, they had their own backstories. I really couldn't wait to see how the rest of the game would turn out. When the game finally did come out, it really wasn't the home run we had hopes for. I mean, it was amazing, but there are still a few minor flaws and distractions that hold it back from rivaling the last game by Quantic Dream. With a great choice of casting, Ellen Page plays a young woman named Jodie who has been linked to a spiritual entity named Aiden all of her life. Aiden is sort of a ghost that can kind of interact with the world and other people in various but often threatening ways. So for Jodie's safety, she's put into the care of two kind scientists who raise her, one of which is played by Willem Dafoe. After many years, the CIA realizes that they could use her for their international missions, so without spoiling anything, some lies are told and Jodie ends up abandoning them. From there, heck, a bunch of things happen. For a while, she ends up homeless on the streets, and then comes across some interesting and very identifiable characters. She travels west and works with a Navajo family, and she learns about the connection she has with Aiden as well as her mother. You can tell that there's a lot going on, but unfortunately the story isn't very well organized, and it's sort of told out of order as it kind of jumps around a timeline of events that happened in Jodie's life. Which often takes me out of the experience to think how one event led to another. It's a good experiment and a cool idea, but it really doesn't work in a situation like this. Sometimes the scenes don't really add up. Like, there's a scene where a guy named Ryan takes Jodie away to be recruited into the CIA. We gather that Ryan isn't really the most sympathetic or nicest of people, but then the next scene just jumps over a few others, and Jodie wants to have a relationship with him and invites him over to the apartment for dinner. That really feels out of context. And, well, the only real problem I have with Jodie is her often obvious sexual intentions with Ryan and one of the other guys she meets. If this had been removed, she still would have been just as believable. And yes, Quantic Dream still can't make love scenes believable, and they still come across as being awkward and weird. There are also a bunch of moments where she can seem selfish and bitchy, but Ellen Page manages to have it balance out perfectly. She just has this talent of taking character traits I would usually hate, and find a way to actually make them work. Maybe it's just her delivery and timing that make the character seem more real, especially when backed up with strong dialogue such as this.
Leave me alone. We've been running for weeks, and for what? I have no home, no money, no food. My life is a fucking disaster. I'm tired of running. I gave up. Do you hear me? I give up!
The other characters do really well too. Willem Dafoe is a scientist named Nathan who plays the usual emotional supportive lead. The other scientist, Cole, is more of a loving father figure, and he's pretty likable too. I'm not a big fan of Ryan, but I stomach him okay. Even the child actor who plays young Jodie is pretty good too. The rest of the side characters are also really good. Okay, so maybe not all of them. And the motion capture and graphics, however, improved, but the animation looks unfinished at times, but then there are also times where it looks flat out amazing. And as well as the gameplay, it's similar to Heavy Rain, but there are some very distinct differences. However, combat is not that much better. In fact, it's not as good at all. During fight scenes, the screen sort of slows down and you have to move the stick in a direction of her body to finish the attack, but sometimes it can be tricky to read which way she's supposed to be going, so you'll end up taking a few hits here and there. Remember how I said Heavy Rain had a few plot holes? Well, the plot here has more holes than SpongeBob SquarePants. For example, Aiden and the other monsters that aren't explained very well come from the Infraworld, which plays a very important role in the plot, but it's never really explained what it is or how it really works. I always thought it was the afterlife, but it might also be another dimension? Maybe there's something I missed, but I just couldn't understand it. Does this make it a bad game? No, but there are some flaws that hold it back from a place in history. Yeah, I know. This really could have been explained, huh? If the rest of the game had been just as dedicated as the homeless chapter, I really think we would have had something different here. There are other scenes that are heavy with suspense and emotion, but nothing compared to the one. I still recommend this game for fans, so if you haven't played it, give it a try and see what you can get wrapped up in.
Sorry eyes, they cut through the bone, make it hard to leave you alone. They leave you here, wearing your wounds, waving your guns at somebody new. Oh, baby, you're lost. Baby, you're lost. Baby,